Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Investing Podcast for Bo, my brother, who's the owner and director of Barron Commercial Group, CCIM instructor, and co-founder of Hearthstone Fund, among many other things. Teaches me, his little brother, everything about commercial real estate. From episode number 1, I knew nothing. I asked, what is a broker? And now we're near 100 episodes, and I know a whole lot more, which has only grown my appreciation for everything my brother, my dad, all commercial real estate professionals do. And I'm just in awe, and I would never make fun.
Oh, yeah. Nobody believes that. This episode is sponsored in part by the Massimo Group. Are you a commercial real estate broker looking to boost your business? The Massimo Group is the world's premier coaching organization, transforming the careers of brokers just like you, just like it did for me. Visit www.massimo-group.com today to get started and take your career to the next level. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, commercial real estate's most advanced toolkit, providing commercial real estate professionals like me with premier data, mapping, and marketing tools to win business and revolutionize decision-making. Visit stdb.com to learn more.
And as we're coming to 100 episodes, it blows my mind.
Oh, and we have a special guest.
Yeah!
We have already recorded our 100th episode.
Yes, we have.
And this guest is so special.
Yeah.
So awesome that we're saving this person for our 100th episode.
Oh, yeah, the 100th.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be great. And it was a long one, too. So.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude.
We'd gone 15 minutes. I look up and we'd gone 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I know.
Chad, we're not doing that with you today, by the way.
Oh, man.
Man, it's unbelievable.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I think everybody's going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. Well, we got Chad Griffiths back on today.
Back on the show.
Which I'm so excited. Last time we had him on, there's nobody out there that loves industrial more, you know?
No, the last time we had him on, the lights went out.
Yeah.
And you ended up basically crawling up and sticking your crotch in my face trying to fix the lights.
That's right.
That's what I remember about the last episode with Chad.
I remember that because we were live at the moment too, so we had to keep going. Yeah. Couldn't really edit that part out.
It was live.
Yeah, that was live.
I forgot about that.
We had gone live. And then also, I think an engagement happened where Chad is going to be marrying Industrial.
That's right.
If he could.
Forgot about that as
working
well.
on the laws in Canada. So, Chad Griffiths, welcome back to the show, my man.
Gentlemen, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm getting an echo here.
Welcome back. Echo issue solved.
Yeah.
Chad, sorry about the tariffs, man.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I don't take it personally at all. And I've had this conversation with a few people now, is that I think every country should be putting their own citizens first. Like it's actually crazy to me that that's even a discussion, that somebody is appalled that a country is trying to put their own interests first. And that's strange to me, is that people are so upset about that. It's just crazy. So I kind of take the approach that, yes, look after your own citizens first. There might be an economic reason on why tariffs aren't great, and I think that could be debated all day, but that's a separate issue from the fact that a country is just trying to put their own interests first, and they're trying to protect their own manufacturers and their own producers. So I don't inherently have a problem with it from the standpoint that every country should be trying to do that. Like, instead of solving all of everyone else's problems, work on your own problems first. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. But actually, on the topic of tariffs, because I'm starting a new business, and you guys might want to get in on the ground level on this.
Is this an announcement?
It's backwards.
Number one commercially speaking fan. Oh,
it's not backwards to us,
not
baby.
Not backwards to us. Look at that.
Are you kidding me?
I even went a little bit further, though, because I got Bo on one gun, Timmy on the other gun.
No way! Oh my God!
I mean, the bad news is that they're going to have a 300% tariff. Limited edition, 300% tariff. See, I'm going to capitalize. I'm turning the tariff into a good thing. This is going to work really well for my business.
I'm so fired up about that shirt. I can barely stand it. On the back, you should put like, you know how a lot of shirts on the back, they'll just have like a little thing to say?
Yeah.
On the back, it should just say, worth the tariff.
Worth the tariff. That's
I
great.
like that. Worth a 300% tariff. I should specify, make sure that everyone knows.
Oh my God, that's so honored. And for those who don't know, and if you have not copped onto it yet, Chad is Canadian. So,
Hey,
yes.
Yeah.
And if you're not watching on YouTube or Spotify, he created a shirt that says #1 commercially speaking fan.
yeah,
And it looks fantastic.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
beautiful. Yeah, you can get it limited time only. Click. Even if you're even if you're getting it in Canada, I'm still applying a 300% tariff because I'm not discriminating. Everybody's paying the tariff.
Man, I love it. I love it. You might as well marry our podcast now, you know?
I recommend your guys' podcasts all the time. I think what you guys are doing is absolutely awesome. It's huge for the industry. Great production. Timmy, you're awesome at it. Bo's a natural pro. I recommend it all the time. So I got this shirt for this podcast, but I endorse it. I'm going to wear this shirt regularly now. It's going to go into the new rotation of my regular shirts that I wear.
We're going to have to license the design.
Yeah, it's so good.
If the tariff thing really bogs things down, we'll license the design, we'll produce it here, and we'll send you royalties or something.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's
Yeah.
man, what a. I'm
What a gift.
speechless. Yeah, I'm speechless. I'm honored, Chad.
Yes,
that's amazing.
honored is the right word. That is really cool.
It's a Canadian gift where I got it for myself, but it's kind of a gift for you guys. So it's like when you buy your wife something for Christmas that you want, like a new fishing rod.
This
And
is
she's
the
like, I
second time-
don't even fish. You're like, but you'll love this fishing rod.
This is the second time I've had this conversation today about buying something. I was talking to a potential partner of ours in Hearthstone that we might invest with, and he was saying it was his wife's birthday this weekend.
Yeah.
And he takes his 3 kids out and they buy her gifts.
Yeah.
They're like 7, 4, and 2 and whatever. So they buy her stuff that they like because that's their concept of everything.
Right.
And I was thinking, man, my wife bought me a chair one time, you know, like a recliner.
Yeah.
And that's the chair she's sat in since.
Yeah.
Like she bought herself a chair.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it's that kind of concept. Do you call that a Canadian gift? Like that's,
I just made that up right now.
I didn't know if that was a thing.
Yeah,
It is now.
officially it is now.
Yeah,
that
right.
might be the two taglines on the back: 300% tariff and Canadian gift.
Yeah. I love it. Creating new terms right here. And I'm thinking about when we do roll out our merchandise, you know, all other shirts has to be #2 commercially speaking fan or more, right?
Well,
So,
like
number
the
2,
Avis.
#3, #4. You know what? Jump on this. You got to subscribe.wgbaron.com
Subscribe.wgbaron.com.
to join the newsletter, because as they unroll out, there's only going to be one #2 fan. There's only going to be one #3 fan. If you want to get these #3, #4, #5 fan of commercially speaking t-shirts, you got to jump on it. I like this idea. I don't know how practical it is, but yeah.
Do you remember? You probably don't. Chad, are you closer to my age or closer to Timmy's age? 48 or 38?
I was born in 80, so I'm closer to you.
Okay, so you're 45.
Yeah,
Do you remember when Avis rental car, when they rolled out their brilliant marketing campaign that basically said we're #2?
Yes,
You remember that?
we work
What they
harder.
did was, I think it was Hertz was by far and away the #1 rental car company.
Yeah.
And they're a logistics company well beyond just rental cars, but they're very, very large. And then there was everybody else. Avis basically said, we're #2.
That's awesome.
They weren't,
Oh, they weren't.
but within a year they were.
Wow.
And so they didn't try to be #1. They tried to be #2.
Yeah.
And that was, so being our #2 fan is,
Yeah.
not bad at all.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, when Mom listens to this, you got to fight in the future. You got to fight.
So cool. Well, let's get back to tariffs.
Yes,
Because I am interested. You're throwing around 300% tariffs. What is the state? Like, what is the tariff that you guys are dealing with all of a sudden?
Well, that's where I do see a problem. I do see a problem in the fact that we don't really know what we're dealing with because the goalposts keep changing and the rules of the game keep changing. Right. So even going back to NAFTA days when President Trump, I believe it was in 2018, give or take, when he renegotiated that to be the USMC, that set up the new trade agreement. And when he came into power, and he said before that tariffs is his favorite word. So I suppose it shouldn't be surprising to any of us that that's high on his agenda right now. But what is causing problems, and I think this reverberates beyond just the real estate market into like we're seeing in the stock market right now, everything, is that we just don't know what the rules are. They originally came on, I believe it was early February. He said that they're going to be coming on in March, and then it got postponed until April. And on again, off again. Now there's exemptions. First it was Mexico, then it was Canada, all the USMC trade goods. So I think that's the real problem. Is if you just put the tariffs on and everybody adjusts to it, I think our economy and the participants and everybody in it is pretty resilient, and they're pretty accommodating, and they're willing to adapt. And I think the market would just adapt. There'd be pain, I'm sure. I think certain sectors would feel more than others, but the people would adapt. When the rules of the game keep changing, I was talking to someone earlier, it's like playing a football game. If the NFL all of a sudden just decided to have sliding first down rules, so you don't know if it's 8 yards to get a first down, or maybe the next play it's 12 yards to get a first down, really hard to play that game. And I think that's how I would equate the trade tariff. I don't even want to call it a war, because I think that's a complete misnomer. But the trade tension, maybe that's a better way of describing it. I think that's what the problem is we just don't know what the rules are. Like, what happens in April 1st? Are we going to have tariffs? Are we going to rescind the USMC? Do we have to renegotiate it? And I think that's equally concerning for everybody. Canada, US, Mexico, the world. Because if President Trump is looking at Canada and Mexico, two neighbors, with this economic hostility, what do other countries have to face if this actually works in the U.S.'s favor? Does that mean Germany and France and all these other major G7 countries, let alone all the other 200-some countries? Do they all have to look at tariffs now? I think that's what's causing some fear right now in the global markets. Is just what is it? Like, would love to actually know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that today. Yeah, because you're right. It does seem to keep changing, and my sense of this, since he started throwing around tariffs so often, so hard, is that he's really just trying to prepare his battlefield to negotiate deals that are good for the United States.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually cares about tariffs. I think they give him the leverage that he wants to make the deals that he wants to make.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that plays out. That's just my sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, he is using tariffs as a negotiation tactic for sure to get that leverage. But at the same time, thinking from the business mind, tariffs, he keeps saying that we have been taken advantage of for so long, which I believe is true. When it comes to even the war in Ukraine and all the money that we have given to that war. And where the UK also gave money, but like as a loan, right? And we've got a whole ocean between us. They do not. And Trump's coming in and being like, why didn't Biden give him a loan? So that, it's like we are being taken advantage of in that way is what is, being said and stuff. And he's like, they're coming in as the business mind thinking this is not going to work. We're trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. How are we going to get out of it if this does not change? And putting the tariffs on makes it more of a fair playing field in that business mindset, in that business, mindset or whatever. But
so
right?
Can I comment on that? Being
yes.
outside of the U.S., but and Canada's given her loan. I don't even know the details of how we've done it. But there's been a lot of money as well. I think my problem with all of it is that the two become so closely linked that you can't talk about one or the other, right? The war in the Ukraine and what's happening there, and then all the money that's being spent. Those two are almost linked where you can't separate those. And they are two distinct issues.
Yeah.
In what's happening in Ukraine, right? I think most people would say no. It's Ukraine's a sovereign country, and they've been invaded. But that's a separate argument. I won't even go there because that's well beyond my scope. But the second part is we're spending money we don't have, right? Like we're giving.
Yes.
That's like somebody donating to people in need that don't have money themselves. They're taking money off their credit card. Like that idea is just ludicrous. People would say, take care of yourself first, and then yes, go help where you can. But every country right now is spending money they don't have, and until those two conversations can be separated, it's a dog pile. Like it's so frustrating because it's a massive problem, but they're two completely separate topics.
Yeah, I agree.
Chad, I wonder if you have this perspective. I'm just going to think out loud here a little bit about Ukraine, because I think we've forgotten something about Ukraine. But here's my thought process. Russia is bad. They're our enemies. That's kind of the U.S. stance. You know, you think about Russia, even way back when we were younger, the Soviet Union, it's like we were the good guys, they were the bad guys. Like we grew up in that mode of thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Russia invades Ukraine. All of a sudden, Russia again proves that they're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. So the Ukraine has to be the good guys, right?
Yeah. Right.
They're not. Mm. They're one of the most corrupt countries on the planet.
Yeah.
Like all this cyber farm scam stuff, so much of that happens from the Ukraine in a semi-state sponsored way.
Yeah.
So it's not like and so here's how my mental gymnastics have gone since Russia invaded the Ukraine. Russia's bad. Just grew up believing that in my bones. I'm not talking about the Russian people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about
Putin.
Yeah, let's just make it specific. Putin, bad guy. Okay. And so whoever he's against has to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Now, that's not true, but that's the fallacy I have.
Sure.
And so right off the bat, I was like so pro-Ukraine. Yeah. But then I remembered, well, their government is very, very corrupt as well. And so what we've been doing since then is giving a crap ton of free money to the Ukraine. And I think what I see the Trump I can't believe we're talking politics this much, but what I see the Trump administration doing is saying, look, we got two folks over here who are at war, and we can get in there and change the dynamic in a way that doesn't align us with them, but do a business deal over their natural resources that puts us right in the middle of them.
Yeah.
And so we're not letting Ukraine into NATO, but we are going to be in between Russia and Ukraine. And so just our presence there should give them both pause, you know, and we get something out of it.
I mean, that's the biggest thing about that mineral deal is it gives us incentive to actually,
like, there's a return on our investment.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's in some ways pretty brilliant, but I've kind of forgotten that.
Yeah.
You know, Ukraine's not like they're the moral bastion of the world there.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't know too much about that, but I do, you know, I
think not the people.
Yeah. I think I got you. But I think like the majority of Americans, bottom line would be like, hey, this is not our war. This does not affect us much. We have so much that we have to take it, to your point, Chad. We have so much that we have to take care of here of our own people. Why are we sending so much money over there? And it looked like, and it seems as though like America kept the war going. There was a chance for a peace deal, and they said no, which all comes back to the military-industrial complex. What are you smiling at?
I just knew you were going to say it like that. And every time I hear military-industrial complex, I think, you know, some conspiracy theory guys. But I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's very, very much a thing, or it seems like it, Chad.
Well, yeah, I think this goes back to what we led off at the beginning of how countries should be looking after themselves first. And whether that's on a financial basis or even on this geopolitical tension, or perhaps we're even on the cusp of a war. I've been reading a lot on World War II lately. And the one thing that strikes me is that we wouldn't have won World War II without China and Russia. USSR. Maybe we would have. It might be a jump into conclusion saying that we wouldn't have, but they definitely helped. They were allies. China and USSR were allies. And on the other end, Germany, Italy, and Japan, Pearl Harbor, those three are the axis of evil. And now fast forward 80 years, and we're now somewhat at an economic war with China. We don't even know what we're dealing with Russia. But now we've got Japan, Italy, and which one am I missing now? Germany. Now they're great friends of ours. And in a matter of 80 years, they've gone from, and the tales of the concentration camps and the prisoner of war camps that Japan and Germany had, it's reading about some of those is the most heinous thing you can imagine people getting put through. And now they're our allies. And China and USSR are ostensibly our enemies. It is so crazy that we just forget what happened. And how does Japan forget with having nuclear weapons dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Like, you have to think that that's lingering somewhere, some animosity. I don't want to suggest that we end up in this huge confrontation, but it just does show that countries really do need to look after their own interests first. And I'm not a fan of Putin by any means, but I can at least understand why he's trying to push to make his own country better. That's his job. So it's infinitely complex. I try to look at it as a high level because, like, if anybody's watching this, they might just think that we're three of the biggest goofballs in the world even talking about this.
We are.
We probably are.
I mean, I'm wearing a shirt that has Bo and Timmy on the sleeves, and I'm obviously a huge goofball. But I get it. It's just we're in that time where I think the last 80 years or so has been in like that globalization trend for numerous reasons. Industrial real estate coincidentally has played a big part in that, and maritime shipping and new technology. But
containers. Containers made globalization actually work.
Malcolm McLean, he's the guy that founded that, however, in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah, invented those global shipping containers.
Yeah,
Yep.
So I think that globalization has opened everybody up to be like, okay, well, we'll have open trade with you, and we'll collaborate, and if something comes up, well, we've got your back. Well, I think that there's a bit of a movement against that now, and I think the movement is they're not really our friends. And I think Canada, U.S., I hope that we always have that friendship, but how can you say that China isn't our friend now when 80 years ago they helped us win the war? And same with USSR. So I just find that so crazy, is that the friendships can change, and then I think that there's just forces well beyond our control, and there's people that are pulling strings and manipulating this, and they made it seem like Japan after the war was all of a sudden our friends. Like right after it happened, they tried to bring Japan into the fold, and that was right after they dropped nuclear weapons on them. So I think there's just so much at play. It's impossible for the average man to figure out what's actually going on.
I think you're right. Have you read the book, Chad? The End of the World. The End of the World is just the beginning by Peter Zion.
I'm a big fan of Peter's. Actually, I've got
me too.
I've seen him speak twice in person.
Ooh,
wow!
I have not seen him in person.
Yeah,
I'm a little, as the kids say, jelly right now.
Yeah.
Well, what you were just saying,
no
though,
cap.
and this is what I was. we mentioned this a number of episodes ago. How he's basically predicted the end of globalization. He's predicted it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we talked about that for about a second on an episode way back when.
Yeah,
I think it was our first viral short.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lots of matter of fact, I told my kids not to read the comments. I was trying to explain what he put out in the book, but the way Timmy edited it sounded a little bit like I was making these predictions, and people thought I was nuts. But as you see, especially the Trump administration and even the Biden administration had started to talk this way about pulling back from the world and putting the U.S. first before we try to, as you put it earlier, Chad, before we try to solve all the world's problems.
Yeah.
And if we pull back too much, I can see a future that resembles what Peter Zion has predicted is going to happen in this end of globalization.
Which would be, in a couple sentences, which would be what, for those who aren't familiar?
Well, based on what I've learned from some of Peter's books, after World War II, there was the Bretton Woods Accords, where the United States basically won the war with the help of our allies. And everybody expected us to come and become an empire. But instead, we basically said, look, we are going to police the shipping lanes with our Navy of the world. We're going to make shipping safe, and we're going to require that you adopt the dollar as global currency. All right? We're going to let you keep your stuff. We're not going to take German territory. We're not going to take Japanese territory. Everybody uses the dollar, and we're going to make sure shipping is safe. And it created, this is super oversimplified, but it created the framework that allowed for globalization. So if we step back from that and we stop policing the shipping lanes, and if you take one of those big shipping container or those container ships that can hold 144 miles worth of containers in one ship.
Wow.
And it's not safe going from Taiwan to the United States. That's a big problem.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't getting their Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no more Nikes in the stores, not to mention food and all this other stuff that people actually need. So if that all, falls apart, then you have different parts of the world that are going to be absolutely crushed. Famine.
Yeah.
People dying from starvation.
Right.
The United States, Canada, we're far away from everybody who hates us. We're coast to coast. We have great natural resources and waterways. We'll probably be just fine. We'll tell a difference, but we're not going to have famine and stuff. But the other side of the world's really going to get crushed. So that's Peter Zion's supposition about a potential future. And
Chad,
the more we pull back,
the
more I see that as a possibility.
Right.
And we're definitely pulling back. I'm done now.
Yeah, Chad, are you busting to say something on this?
Yeah, I love Peter. I like I said, I've seen him speak twice. One thing I'd recommend people do, the book is well worth the read. He is either he had a ghostwriter or he's just a naturally brilliant writer, but it's a very easy read. It's not awkward. It doesn't come at it from an academic standpoint. It is a very easy read, and it's awesome. He also puts out a daily commentary on some topic on YouTube. And I typically listen to it as I'm going to work, 6 to 7 minutes, and he just talks about something, and he's a very, very good speaker. The one thing I would say about Peter, though, and I've caveated by saying I'm a big fan of his, is that, and I heard someone else comment this about him, is they said, I wish I was as confident about anything as Peter is about everything. He makes it seem like everything that he talks about is just imminently going to happen. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone know what's going to happen to China's population in 2050. He's just sticking a wet finger in the air for the most part. But so I'd say take everything he says with a grain of salt. But I would 100% double down on what you said, Bo, is that you can extrapolate what's going to happen pretty easy, right? If this happens, then could this happen? Absolutely. Will it happen? I don't know. It's another funny quick story, actually. I was talking to Peter Linneman the other day, and so he's an economist who makes a ton of projections and tries to look into the economy. And he said, listen, I don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl in 10 years, and nobody is going to know who's going to win the Super Bowl in 10 years, but we're all trying to make forecasts on the 10-year treasury or how we're going to build a pro forma on how it's going to look by year 10. We have no idea what's going to happen. So that's kind of the approach that I take, is that he gives a lot of great information as it's happening right now, and he makes a lot of projections as if it's imminent. And I think we just all need to temper that and just say it could happen, but nothing's in a vacuum. Nothing is going to happen. We're just trying to read tea leaves, essentially.
Right. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. So is Canada gonna become the 51st state?
It would be so messy. It's interesting. I looked into a little bit on what would that actually require, and it's something like it has to be a unanimous decision within the government to do that. And long story short, it would take the U.S. basically invading Canada. I think that there's just not the public appetite for it. I want to be a dual citizen. I've been lobbying to become an honorary member of Texas for I don't even know how long right now, and maybe I just become an official member of Texas if U.S. ever invades Canada. But I'm proud, I'm happy to be Canadian. I'm proud to be Canadian. I just want to be a dual citizen. So if anyone's listening and has the power to get me an American citizenship, I'd owe you one. I'll send you a free shirt, no tariffs.
No tariffs.
Free shirt, no tariffs. That's a good shirt design.
That's probably going to be the title of the episode.
Yeah, free shirt, no tariffs.
Everybody needs a t-shirt lady. So I've got one in our neighborhood. And most of my wardrobe right now is shirts that she's made for me when I have an idea, and I'll shoot it over to her, and she never questions. She's never like, this is kind of weird, or well, that's different. Whatever I come up with, she's like, yeah, I'll be ready tomorrow. And then I just walk over and she prints it. I'm guessing it's just like a easy process for her. And yeah, I love it. So everyone needs a good t-shirt lady.
Yeah, it's hard to find one that doesn't judge.
Yeah, you need kind of all those things. You need a fair price, you need a quick turnaround, and you need no judgment.
No
that
judgment.
Trifecta, very, very hard to find.
Yeah, that's true. That's perfect. Oh, fun.
Well, I do think we should talk some industrial real estate. What do you think?
I thought it was amazing that he bridged the gap between three goofballs talking about what we think about politics to, industrial shipping had a big part of this. That was very impressive. But yes.
He's absolutely right about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, what do you see in data centers since DeepSeek made its big coming out party?
Oh, yeah.
Which I think, frankly, I don't know this, but my sense is that they're full of it. Like, I don't think for a second DeepSeek was able to create what they created for the amount of money that they claim. However, what do I know?
Yeah.
Right. But it tanked NVIDIA stock.
It did.
And I'm wondering how you've seen that filter through in the data center market.
I haven't, because the data center industry is such a massive machine, it takes years to get one of these from the concept to actually developed. So it's such a slow moving machine that it couldn't possibly pivot that fast. So and this is another interesting one. I actually asked a data center guy this a couple months ago before the DeepSeek. I said, what happens 10 years down the road if the technology reaches a level where, or perhaps a breakthrough, maybe it's quantum mechanics, quantum computing, maybe it's something we don't even have on our radar yet. But what happens if that reaches a level where you can do significantly more with significantly less? So just like computing, right? It's
Moore's law.
Moore's law, yeah, it doubles and reduces in price every couple of years, or some exponential formula. So if it did get to that and there was a big breakthrough, do we have all these buildings that were purpose built for data centers, which aren't great buildings for other types of uses? And he didn't really have a good answer. He was just kind of saying, well, you know what, we kind of deal with what we have right now, and we try to make the best decisions with where we're at, and that's really all we can do. And then that DeepSeek came out, and I'm with you. I think China lies about everything, so it wouldn't be surprising to see China lie about how they came across this technology and what actually went into it. But what happens if that was true? That could have such a disruptive force on data centers that I will personally never invest in data centers now after seeing this, because we actually saw a glimpse of it, and maybe it doesn't turn out to be true, but everybody was scared. When that first came out, everybody was like, oh man, if China has found a way to do this for significantly less, with significantly less power and money invested, all of a sudden, and even if it was just a rumor, all of a sudden people were scared. So for me, as an investor, I wouldn't want to be going into a data center where these can cost $500 a square foot. It's like kind of like an easy ballpark number. Whereas you could build just a normal warehouse or distribution building for $150 a foot. So if that data center, well, let's compare the two. If you have a warehouse that goes vacant, you're probably going to find another warehouse tenant or something similar to that, and you're not going to have to spend a ton of money. If that data center goes vacant, what do you do with a building that was $500 a square foot that probably doesn't have any loading doors, probably doesn't have any windows, probably has zero office build out, probably has no washroom build out? It's basically just a building to hold server racks. How much money do you actually have to spend to retrofit that to make that usable for the next group that goes in there, on top of the fact that there's a $500 a square foot building. That the downside risk in my mind is just so high that the only way to make sense of it is that you're getting a tenant like Google or Facebook or Amazon on a 20, 30-year lease, and your exit strategy is you might just be selling at land value. But that doesn't seem attractive to me. I mean, the whole beauty about investing in real estate is that you should have an asset that after you've paid down all your debt, that now you've got a free and clear title building that's earning you cash flow without any debt. The exit strategy in my mind, that's a long answer to your question, Bo, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it, is that it's so easy to disrupt that industry that it could just change on a dime. And if that happens, we're going to have a flood of data center space that all of a sudden becomes available.
Well, I think of two things with your answer. One is what's happening to office right now with the GSA terminations that DOGE is doing here in the United States. Just all kinds of office space that's already hurting is going to be coming available. The other thing, like if I think of a retail example, it would be kind of like a Dollar General store being built for $500 a square foot, like gold-plated cement blocks.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of a cornfield, and if Dollar General happens to leave, like what do you do with that?
Right.
You know, it's in the middle of a cornfield. There's 10,000 people in 20-mile drive time. Like, there's not a lot of demand for hardly anything else. What do you do with that? Only at much bigger scale.
Right.
Because these buildings are so big. And, oh, by the way, you had to spend all kinds of money getting the infrastructure to it.
Right.
Because they need all kinds of power, way more than normal industrial buildings. And you just got something that's super overbuilt for any other use.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And requires a lot of money to retrofit it too. So it's one thing if it was overbuilt, but a tenant could go in there and say, "Oh yeah, this works great for what I need it for," and they could just move in. But it's overbuilt and underbuilt at the same time for the amenities that a normal building would have. So it'd have so much capex to retrofit that to another building or to another use. Yeah, it's that I think that the data center industry has the potential to be one giant bubble, and it's like everything. When things are great, and you guys probably remember when Bitcoin and cryptocurrency came on the market, I was getting calls every single week about someone wanting to open up a new mining operation in one of these buildings every single week. In Canada, and this might be coming to your guys' next to woods, was marijuana. When marijuana was legalized, everybody was trying to get in on that. Well, now what happens is that on the marijuana side, these guys have lost so much money because they went and built way too much, thinking that the demand would never stop and that there'd be this massive uptick. And some of these guys have lost everything, like 95% of their investment, because you have to go and build all this special infrastructure and vents and HVAC and return air and makeup systems. Like it's just crazy, but it's not useful for the next group. So I think if I were to guess,
as a commercial real estate broker, your success depends on the right strategies and guidance. The Massimo Group, the world's top coaching organization for brokers, can help you scale your business and increase your income. And as a former client, I've personally experienced how their coaching can transform not only your career, but also your life. Don't wait to grow. Head to www.massimo-group.com today and see how their proven systems can work for you. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, the ultimate commercial real estate data analysis and mapping tool. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, Site to Do Business provides the data and insights you need to make informed decisions and close deals faster. Frankly, it's the tool that I use the most in my business. Access comprehensive market analysis, demographic data, and powerful mapping tools like ArcGIS, Placer AI, and flood maps all in one place. Identify the best locations for your clients, analyze market trends, and present your findings with confidence. Don't miss out on this game-changing platform. Visit stdb.com today and see how it can optimize your business. And now back to the show.
I like the data center industry from the standpoint that it's exciting and it's different than just a normal warehouse, a dock and load, right? Like a dock and load, I love it. Like, I love Dock and Load, and I love the name. I'm going to steal that and make a t-shirt about it.
I mean, that was seamless. You just worked that right in there.
Yeah, so good.
Wait till I have the t-shirt. I'll be next episode we have. So I love the warehousing side, but the data center, I'm fascinated with the industry. I'm interviewing a guy actually that I think he's developed several of them, most of them in the Virginia area where they're clustered, but he's done numerous developments, and that's his expertise. He's been doing it for 10 years, long before AI and the demand that came with that was there. And I'm just genuinely so fascinated to ask him these questions as well. But I'm curious about it, but I also think it's got the signs, the warning signals of a potential bubble forming that I don't know what that real estate, what does that Dollar General, does it just get demolished? Is that what happens if it gets built in a rural area and they go out of business? Is it just demolished and returned to land? Does that happen with data centers? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got I saw a video this week that I'm curious that it's from, who is it? The Groq CEO. You might have seen it, but it's like the perspective of somebody who understands data centers, not from the CRE standpoint, talking about what he's hearing like brokers or developers talk about, and he's just kind of I want to see your all's reaction to this. So let me pull this up real quick.
All right, perfect.
All right, do we see it?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear it.
So the problem with data centers is everyone thinks that data centers are real estate. And a lot of people do real estate. Data centers are not real estate. The common joke in the industry now is someone says, I'm going to have 100 megawatts of capacity for you, and I'm going to have it in 3 months. Are you willing to sign? And then you ask a question like, well, what's your uptime? And they're like, I don't know, whatever the power grid is. And you're like, wait, what? Where are your generators? Oh, I haven't ordered those. I'll order them now. You know that there's a 90-month lead time on generators right now? Oh, really?
The next 90.
90. And then the next question is, where are you getting the water from? Wait, data centers need water? I thought it was a bunch of chips. What do you mean water? So there's a bunch of people who have no idea what they're doing going into it because they think it's real estate. And so those people are now building an oversupply of data centers, but they're not really building them. So they're fake data centers that people think are real.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So that came out 2 weeks ago. I saw it and I was like, oh, gotta ask Chad about this. But yeah, immediate reactions here.
I agree with most of what he's saying, except for the fact that he's simplifying it to say that it's not real estate, because it wouldn't exist if there wasn't real estate. I understand the notion of what he's trying to say, and there's a new saying that's come out is that you don't bring the data center to the building, you bring the building to where the data center needs to be, because the power is crazy, the water consumption is crazy, you need to have internet connectivity, and then you also need to have redundancies on all of those. So you can't just go and put that up anywhere. So I do agree with that. But to say that it's not real estate, I think misses the importance that it wouldn't exist if there wasn't a data center. On the power side, because this is really interesting for me. Either of you guys Back to the Future fans?
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll love this one then. So remember when Doc, you have some stuff there. Oh.
Yeah, Back to the Future playing cards.
Oh, wow.
They're killer.
Timmy claims it's the perfect movie.
It is. It's one of the perfect made movies. Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing I would change about it. So by that definition, it's got to be perfect.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So you remember that when Doc was talking to Marty and they were looking back at how much power they would have to generate to get the car going, and there's a scene where he's looking at the TV and he says we need 1.21 gigawatts. He didn't pronounce it gigawatts, it was gigawatts, 1.21 gigawatts. And he loses his mind. He's like, 1.21 gigawatts? And he starts going crazy because that is a crazy amount of power. But that's a large data center now. We have large data centers that are taking a gigawatt of power. And in some cases, even more than that for one data center. And it wasn't long ago that a 20 megawatt data center would have actually been big. That would have been a big data center 5 years ago. And now we're looking at 1 gigawatt, which was was that 86? Is that when the movie came out? 86, 87?
Yes.
Like virtually an inconceivable number at the time that could only be replicated by a lightning strike hitting a perfectly timed wire. That's the only way that you could make that. And now that's just an average, not average, that's a large data center. So he's right in that regard, is that, and anybody trying to build a data center without having the right people involved, and that's to go in and see all those things. How are you addressing power, water, internet connectivity? How are you addressing the redundancies? Are you going to get zoning? Are there any other problems in the area? Vibrations can be a big thing. So if it's too close to an airport, that can affect things. So there's so many things out there. Probably the most reckless real estate developer in the world right now is someone that's building a data center without checking all those boxes first.
Yeah. And it seems as though, like, his point is there's a lot of those out there that are viewing it as real estate solely.
Well,
right?
Here's what real estate guys do when they see demand. They're going to build it. Right? They're going to build it. And what they're used to do is they're going to get a sense of what the demand is, and then they're going to build what they think, oftentimes spec. And what this CEO is saying is those same guys that are used to throwing up buildings and allowing their tenants to kind of build it out the way they want, that doesn't play here.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. Like, you got to figure out the power and the water and the generators and the redundancy and the connectivity and all that stuff, or it's useless to a data center.
Right.
But they think if they throw the building up, the demand will come.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah, not in this case.
Yikes. So I don't,
You got
I'd be interesting. Yeah, his claim is that that's happening a lot.
Yeah.
And there's fake data centers out there oversupplying the market. I'd
Right.
be interested to know how much that actually is.
I was going to
How much space is there actually out there?
I was going to say the same thing, because to my knowledge, I don't know of any fake data centers. But if they are up there and they're being marketed as data centers and they're not compatible at all, I'd be very curious to hear more about this too, and just see what the thought process was on how people went and identified this in the site selection and tried to go through all the. I'd be very curious to learn more about if there are fake data centers.
It would not surprise me in the least that there are entrepreneurial developers who, you know, are following NVIDIA's CEO. He's kind of a leather jacket wearing big personality, and and all of a sudden they're the largest company in the world out of nowhere, and they're thinking, oh, it's on. The demand's coming. Build, baby, build. I could see guys going out there and not understanding what they actually need to do
Right.
to create a data center and just building something that's wrong.
Right.
I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
Like, developers are known to be those kind of risk takers. you
Yeah.
know. But I haven't heard of it.
Right.
So I'd be interested to know how much of that space is actually out there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if somebody's listening and they actually have some figures on that, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear if there are, because I agree with you, Bo. Real estate developers are the most risk-taking entrepreneurs in the entire real estate sector. They are the ones that are willing to do that. But even then, I just have to think that there's so many checks and balances that they're going to have shareholders or stakeholders. There's going to be, if they have the capacity to go and build a 100,000 square foot building, they've probably done it before. So maybe there are. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm with you on that. It wouldn't surprise me at all, but I just haven't heard of any fake data centers yet. But very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Who was that CEO?
Like his name? The CEO of Grok. The Grok CEO.
Grok, as in the AI for X?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no.
He would probably
Wait.
know.
Groq, which is different. Wait,
Yeah, that's different.
let me see.
I don't know what that is.
Jonathan Ross is the CEO and founder of Grok. Grok is the innovator of the novel LPU compute architecture, accelerating workloads in AI, ML, and HPC through their product portfolio ranging from Grok Card to Grok Rack.
So I don't even know what that means. So he's definitely smarter than me on this topic, because I don't even know what his title is, let alone what his job is. But yeah, I'd be curious. I haven't seen it. I look at buildings all the time, and I haven't come across one that's that is being built as a. And maybe that's what they're referring to. Maybe it's you actually look at some of these that are being marketed as a data center, and you go and peel the onion back a bit and see that it is missing one or two things. I'll look into this, actually. I'll do a search later across North America and see if there are, because they're not going to be called fake data centers. That's not going to be in the title. 1, 2, 3 fake data center boulevard. That's probably not going to be so obvious, but it'll be ones that are marketed as a data center. I'll go and see if I can find a few and see if they actually make reference to power and water and internet connectivity, or if it's just very vague. Because any sophisticated company is going, they know where these sites are capable of going, and they would be able to look at a site like that and eliminate it right away. So it's possible that if some of these have been built, they've been vacant for a long period of time already.
Yeah. I just found, I assumed it was Grok, the AI for X. So I might be pronouncing this wrong because it's Groq, but I would assume. But it just Grok raised $640 million in Series D round led by BlackRock Private Equity Partners in August of 2024, valuing the company at $2.8 billion. A recent update by Grok on its website is that they have secured $1.5 billion in funding from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to expand its infrastructure.
Okay, so that all tells me that this fella talking probably knows what he's talking about to some extent.
Right.
He's at least able to get BlackRock and Saudi Arabia to invest a ton of money in his company.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, because
that lends him some credibility in my eyes.
Yeah, and just a little bit more clarification, his Grok is the AI hardware company, while Elon's Grok is the conversational AI model developed by XAI. Both names come from the science fiction term meaning to understand profoundly and intuitively. So, yeah.
Well, Chad, I don't think our listeners would be very happy with me if I didn't ask you a version of this question, which is, and as you look at 2025 and how it's unfolding so far and, projecting forward, what's the most exciting thing that you see in the industrial space this year?
I think there's areas of great opportunity. And with that, usually the corollary of that is that there's areas of potential distress. And on the distress side, I still think big box is going to struggle this year. Anything 200,000 square feet and up, I think is, especially if it was built on the outskirts of the market, I think that those are going to have some challenges. But I also can see anything mid bay and small bay being very attractive right now. And whether that's just being in, if we are entering into a tougher economic time, or if there's uncertainty in the market, I think companies, instead of making plans to grow, they might make plans to just stabilize or perhaps even economize and downsize. That's a lot of sizes. And if that is the case, then all of a sudden the small and mid bay is going to look much more attractive. And that hasn't had the massive buildup in inventory, talking about how real estate developers are. That's a perfect example of how developers got overzealous building big box warehousing. And that's the majority of what got built. And that's the majority of the pain points right now. Where small bay and mid bay, that we're still, or the population's still growing, companies are still going to keep operating. There hasn't been a new amount of supply relative to the demand in there. So I think that there's going to be a lot of activity in that small to medium bay stuff. I also think manufacturing's exciting right now. I think that there, for all the reasons that we talked about, coming full circle on that, there just is that onshoring and reshoring movement. And I don't think it's as big as anyone would like it to be, but it is sizable enough that it's having an impact. And companies are looking to locate back to North America, and they're looking to build. And one of the things that, going back to Peter Zeihan, one of the things that he thinks is that we need to double our industrial plants in the next 10 years. That's one of his predictions. And if that came true, that's a lot of square feet, billions of square feet worth of space that will need to be built. So I think the manufacturing side is quite interesting to follow as well. And then the last one, which is very fascinating, is industrial outdoor storage, which 5 years ago, I think we all would have just called it industrial yard or a parking lot or just land. And now it's got this fancy new moniker of industrial outdoor storage. That's attracting a lot of institutional grade capital. And it's the same thing. Whenever you have a run up in demand, the supply tries to chase it and find out where it's going. I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for small mom and pop operators that have perhaps had an iOS site in the family for 20, 30 years to sell that to an institutional investor. I think that that's going to be an exciting spot as well, because a lot of that is owned by smaller, medium-sized investors, and it's institutional money in there right now. So that'll be an interesting one to follow this year too.
How would you define mid bay and small bay?
There's a couple definitions that get floated around. I use anything over 100,000 square feet as big box. Some people will say 200,000. I think some area you're splitting hairs to an extent, but I would say small bay is under 10,000 square feet, and your mid bay is 10 to 50. Where you probably have a little bit of a gap is 50 to 100 or 50 to 200, depending on what your definition of big box is. But yeah, small bay under 10,000, mid bay 10 to 50, big box 100 and up. And again, splitting hairs on what you call that, the area in between.
That sounds a little bit to me like Class A space. It's market specific. Like every market has Class A space, and it's kind of depends on what market you're in. So I could see big box in some 100,000 probably makes a ton of sense. In some 200,000 might make more sense, just depending.
And some, they might want 1 million square feet. Like a company like Amazon, that's the number that makes sense for them, is they need even larger space. And that's the interesting part too, is there's so many different definitions. Some people might just call that light industrial. They might say any type of warehouse space is just light industrial because it's just dry boxes and crates going in there.
That's what I would call it. Yep.
So there's overlap, kind of a Venn diagram, I guess, of you could put, what actually is this? Well, it's a warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah. Last time we talked, we did talk a little bit about the weed blood bath in Canada. So just like quickly, we were talking about how in January, medical marijuana is going to be legalized here in Kentucky. Have you seen any changes or updates or anything on that at all?
What's happened since then is there's a limited number of licenses. So what happened when the law was signed and the date of whatever, January 1, 2025, medical marijuana in Kentucky was going to be legal. All these companies from all over the country tried to lock up as much space as possible in the hopes that should they win the lottery, they had locations to start with. And so, man, we got so many calls. And then as soon as the deadline to submit your application, which required you to have a location. So we did a couple of leases that were contingent upon them winning the lottery and getting a license.
Yeah.
None of our people got a license.
Okay.
There's like 5 of them or whatever. But ever since then, nothing. Hadn't seen anything. Hadn't seen anybody open. Only thing I've heard since the first of the year is the hospital is saying they're not going to get in the medical marijuana game. That's the only thing I've heard about it since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance, I would imagine, somebody won those licenses, and I would fully expect them to open at some point.
Sure.
But I haven't seen it.
Yeah. And then on the Canada side, anything different since last time we talked?
No, I don't think so. The industry is really struggling though. There's just way too many of them. And maybe it was how they handled the license. Maybe they just gave out way more than they thought because the government loves tax money too. So they probably just thought they could rake in all this money and see green. And they haven't seen green. I think there's a lot of green in their stores that they aren't selling, and I think there's not a lot of green coming in. It's not pretty. There's a lot of them that are really struggling, and on the production side as well, a lot of struggling. We've dealt with a couple now that are very large facilities that were one. There's one actually right by our airport. There was 700,000 square feet, a really large facility, and completely empty now. And you could appreciate all the irrigation and HVAC systems and every electrical and everything that had to go into building this out. And it's empty, completely empty building. So I hope that you guys don't have that same run up of greed where everyone tries to do it, because there's people that have lost a lot of money in that area.
Yeah. Wow. All right, cool. Just things I care about.
Well, come to Canada. You could have an unlimited amount.
I know.
They're giving it away on the streets almost.
It all sounds like the prices are good for the consumer right now. So, well, anything else? So we got Chad.
I could talk to Chad all day.
I know,
At some
me
point
too.
We have to wrap this up. I don't think we can go 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
However, you want to do another pop quiz?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Glad to hear it.
Yay.
So, Chad, you've done this before, but just for our new to the show listeners, this is how this works. We'll ask Timmy a series of 5 questions. It can be on what we've covered today or any other topic. In fact, Chad, I'll tell you, the last guest we had on really put it to Timmy.
He was great.
He was a fan of the show,
Mm-hmm.
or is a fan of the show, and so he was pulling out questions from previous episodes. I mean, he came prepared. So if you want to try to play Stump Timmy, we can do that. But we're going to alternate. As our guest, you're going to ask questions 1, 3, and 5. I'll ask questions 2 and 4.
Yeah.
So, Chad, question 1.
Well, I'll give you an easy one, a layup for the first one.
Great.
What was the power requirements in the Back to the Future for him to get the time traveling machine going?
1 gigawatt. Ah!
Oh, are you sure? Final answer?
Yeah, final answer, 1 gigawatt.
Ooh. And you had a plain deck of cards on Back to the Future. You might have to go back and fact check you being a fan.
Oh my God, am I wrong?
1.21 gigawatts.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We're very close.
You know, I'm even playing with them right now. I'm just shuffling
He is
them around.
staring at the DeLorean. And
I am. 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah. Oh my.
Going back to my t-shirt lady, I had her make a shirt that actually said 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah.
That could have been my alternate. I could have done a wardrobe change halfway through this interview.
yeah, and gone, nope.
Yep.
Okay. So, Timmy,
Yeah.
according to the video you showed us, there are three. There are 3 main things that differentiate fake data center from real data center.
Mm-hmm.
What were those 3 things, according to that guy? Chad mentioned a 4th, but I think this guy only said 3.
Power.
Yep.
Location to access the power. Everything I'm thinking of is like water,
Power, water, and
water, and generator.
generators. Those were the 3 that he said.
Oh, okay, great. All right,
yeah.
sweet.
All right, nicely done. Chad, question 3.
All right, I got another one. What does Grok mean? What's the meaning behind Grok?
Oh yeah, intuitive. There's more to it, but yeah, thinking intuitively. Right? It's understand profoundly and intuitively.
To understand profoundly and intuitively.
From the science fiction term meaning to understand profoundly and intuitively. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
It's a science fiction term.
I think X should get Groq to rep Grok.
Groq?
Rob Gronkowski. Would he not be the perfect? Because
He would be.
he's the opposite of intuitive, and
That would be
he's
hilarious.
like a musclehead, you know.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
Grok turns Gronk
Yeah.
into like an intellectual or something. That would be funny, I think.
That would be really funny.
Right
That's
about
a
the
great
time
idea.
he finally gets membership to USAA, he can switch over to.
Yeah. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. That would
Thanks.
go really well for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'll write Elon a letter. Okay. Timmy, we talked about the terms big box, mid bay, small bay.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad was gracious enough to share with us kind of his definition of those spaces. What were those?
Shoot. Mid Bay would be, like B or C.
Give me numbers. At least you'll have a shot.
Yeah, I don't
Size-wise.
know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's normally the kind of thing you write down.
I
Okay.
know. I remember when you were going through it. I was not writing it down because I was searching on something on here.
And I noticed you weren't writing it down, and I thought,
Man, yeah.
I'm going to get him on this one.
Yeah, you stumped me. You
All
got
right,
me.
So here we go. Small bay,
Yeah, 30,000.
10,000 square foot and under.
Yeah,
Mid bay,
30,000,
kind of that 10 to 50.
10 to 50, right?
And then big box, depending on the market, Chad was sharing, it could be 100,000 and up or 200,000 and up. Some markets might even be $1 million and up.
Right.
But yep.
Is it like a Class A, right?
Kind of the definition could be market dependent.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sweet.
So ashamed.
Do I get
Timmy's.
the final question?
You do. Question 5.
Whose name is on my right sleeve?
Mine. Timmy. Timmy. I love it. Man, Chad, this was amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I hope to be in person one of these days. That'd be even
Dude,
better.
that would be fantastic.
Didn't you mention you're going to be at a place where Chad's going to be? Y'all are going to be physically in the same location?
The SIOR conference, of which Chad is a designee and I'm not, is in Louisville in the fall, sometime in October. And so if Chad goes, better believe if I can, I'll be heading out there at least to hang out with him for a while.
I know. Like, we could pop over there and bring a couple microphones even.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Set up.
That'd be cool.
We could even record at Beamer's place. It looks so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Our little
Yeah.
brother lives in Louisville.
Yeah.
And it's pretty close to downtown.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be a great idea. His house used to be an armory in the Civil
way.
War. In the Civil War.
Yeah.
It's such a cool house.
Yes. And very industrialized.
I love it.
And it's got one of those basements in there that's kind of like a cellar that you would torture somebody in an episode of 24.
Yeah.
We could set up down in the basement.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
do this.
We could.
I'm really excited about this all of a sudden.
Oh, this is coming together quite nicely already.
Yeah. Yeah, let's make that happen.
Okay.
If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, ding that little bell, comment something that you want us to go through. I know we talked about a lot of political stuff, but as Chad said, 3 goofballs talking politics. So I'm sure there's some strong opinions. We want to hear what you think. Were we wrong? Are we dumb? What are your strong opinions? We will read them and we'll look at them. And while you're there, follow at Industrialized, which is Chad. And Chad, from here, tell us where everyone can find you and should follow you.
Yeah, Twitter or X now is just my name at Chad Griffiths, and the YouTube is at Industrialize. Yeah, so either one of those are great. And I love chatting about industrial real estate. So even though we veered a little bit off, that was very fun conversation. I loved it. That's why I proudly wear this shirt.
Yeah, baby!
I proudly wear it. I'm going to wear it all week now.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one better to hear about everything going on in industrial real estate. This man loves it. Chad, I can't wait for the wedding. Can't wait for the wedding.
Fingers crossed. What did I call it? The draconian Canadian laws last time?
That's right.
That's right. The draconian.
We're working through the draconian laws.
That's true. And then Bo's got a CRE marketing mastermind.
Yeah, we're going to launch that. We're in March as we record this, and we're going to launch that thing in May. And we're going to take 40 people through a 7-session mastermind, and you're going to come out the other side knowing exactly what you need to do to get good at marketing yourself and your business in a way that actually drives more business.
Right.
So we're going to help you cut through the noise of all this stuff that people say you need to do. And Chad, you'd probably agree, with few exceptions, commercial real estate folks, we're just not that good at marketing.
It's
And
very
so
true.
I've teamed up with my buddy Wes Gay, who's a marketing expert, an expert copywriter, a story brand guide. In fact, I think he's starting to do more and more with story brand specifically. Donald Miller has asked Wes to help more
Nice.
with what they're doing. He's
Good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But we've teamed up and we're going to help you create something, a 1-year plan, if not much more, but at least a 1-year plan that you can just execute in a way. And we're going to give you the tools to execute it so it's not something you're actually spending time doing all the time. And it ought to be just a great way to grow your business and take a weak part of your business for most CRE professionals and turn it into a strength.
Yeah.
So if you want more information about that, you can go to wesgay, WESGAY.com/CS, and you can sign up for kind of the wait list, and you'll be getting more information as that comes out.
And there's only 40 spots on that wait list, so do that quickly. That thing's filling up, I would imagine. And if I may add to that too, like marketing, especially for this is not a one size fits all. This is asking you questions so you can really clarify exactly what you need to do and who you need to be speaking to. So,
That's exactly right.
yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Cool.
And we got a newsletter, subscribe.wgbarron.com. Curated articles all about the stuff that Bo loves to read and why I admire him so much. So if you seek that admiration from me, you probably want to hop on that and read those articles, and they come out every Thursday. We also have the latest podcast that comes out on there, as well as I think that's mainly what it is.
Yep.
Cool. And I think that's it. Chad, thank you so much. Any last words?
I'm going to go sign up for the newsletter. I might have to get another shirt that says #1 fan of the Barron newsletter.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, Chad, I wanted to ask, do you have a virtual assistant, or have you ever thought about that?
I sort of do. I have someone that helps me with my podcast. So he's very helpful with that. And then at work, I have an assistant as well. So yeah, yes and no. So I've got one that sort of helps with social media and one that helps with business.
Gotcha. Well, we got Alice, or Bo's got Alice, which is his virtual executive assistant that has changed his life. It's couldn't recommend one of those more. So many people are asking, hey, does Alice have a sister? Well,
She does have two. She does.
she does.
But if you want an Alice in your life, go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking and sign up for kind of an intro call with them. Alice improves just about every area of my life. Date nights with my wife she schedules, my haircuts, stuff like that. All the way to helping us produce this podcast. She's created systems that allow us to just streamline and accelerate creation of docs like leases and LOIs and purchase agreements and all this stuff. Does my travel, my email, my calendar. I mean, she takes all of this off my plate so that I get to show up the best version of myself.
And you get to focus on the things that are the most important for you to focus on. Yeah.
It's fantastic. So I highly recommend. And
Yeah, if you want to eliminate the suck, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. For those in the back, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking.
I love it when you say it.
I do. I know. That's why I do it. It made you laugh the first time, so it's never going away. But yeah, Chad, thanks again. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure.
Likewise, Chance. Honored to be here.
All right. We'll see you all
right.
next Monday. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah.
Bye, Alice.
Bye bye.
Yeah. All right. Bleh.